Horizon Zero Dawn. It comes out February 28th. Yep. We got to see a big old demo of this. This is officially at that point where I don't want to pay any more attention to it until I get my hands on it.
I'm in.
And so it's pretty close. It's what, 8 months?
We did get to see a bunch of new environments, which look really cool.
Yeah.
They're still sort of like German Alpy, foresty, rundown city type of thing.
Full of Radio Shack dinosaurs.
I mean, they showed the map. It's huge. There's gonna be snow areas. There's gonna be barren desert areas. There's gonna be sort of more civilized areas.
Yep. That's what I'm excited about.
Am I the one who got a chance to play it?
I think so. Yeah.
I watched in that little area behind the booth. I just watched somebody play it.
They said the game is very open. You go through a tutorial, and then once you're sort of out, they're like, you can follow the core storyline just fine, or you can find any of these little settlements, and each settlement and each tribe has its own story arc they can go through. So it's sort of like Skyrim with the covenants or whatever they're called. And then there's also small stories that exist in the world, but the crafting and resource gathering and loot drops are huge in the game. So the bigger the thing you kill, the better the loot you get. But one of the really interesting things is in the options menu, there is a create a quest or create a job. And what that means is if you need if ore is in the game, you're like, God, I don't want to kill a bunch of things waiting for something to drop, or you can have the game create a quest for you where the reward is a ton of ore.
Wow.
And then the game will create it like a quest for you. You'll go out, and when you complete that, you're like, well, you got what you need.
I love that.
And that's one of those things.
So awesome.
That's one of those things like the Nemesis system where I'm like, I want this in every game going forward.
See, because I platinumed Far Cry Primal, and by the end of that game, there was a lot of you need to get 3 tusks from this one rare, and I hunted it for hours and hours and hours, and I'm like, I don't even want this thing. I'm just doing it to do it. This kind of system would make it so much better. That's just so smart.
I mean,
it's such a good idea.
It's easiest kind of just quality of life improvement to have it. So it's as opposed to it being something you're checking on your menu repeatedly. You're like, oh, it just says I've done 2 out of 3 things here. Or I need to go this direction.
Yeah, and the game feels really good when you play it. It feels like
Mortal. You were saying it's it feels sort of complex in its systems.
Yeah, it's much deeper than I thought it would be. There's you have the Batman detective vision where you have a sheen over the world, and it shows you.
Of course it is. It's a video game in 2016.
Yeah,
even Persona has that.
But it gives you a lot of info on what's going on in the world and what enemies are weak to, what type of ammo, whether it's fire or explosive or acidic,
or shooting them directly in the Angus.
Yes,
watching gameplay, I think. We did a BCD at last year's E3, and they were telling us that it's more of an RPG than you think. Watching it in action, I was like, yep, it is, because there have been gameplay demos during conferences and stuff, but watching people factor in weaknesses and watching people worry about stats and stuff, I'm like, oh, this isn't, it's hard for me not to think of it as The Last of Us or some third-person Tomb Raider or whatever. It is an RPG, and just because it doesn't have turn-based battles or whatever, I think that will be... It's so weird because if Mass Effect is coming early next year and obviously Persona and all that stuff, that is going to be a crazy time for RPGs. That first Q1 of next year,
or third-person action-driven non-traditional.
I mean,
RPGs.
if Zelda launches with NX, which I don't think it will, but if
this really looks like a culmination of every video game. It looks simultaneously.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of torn about it because it's almost I like it. It looks grounded. It looks like they built a world. The systems look fantastic. It looks fun to explore. Everything you're saying about it sounds great.
You just hate redheaded women.
Yeah, I cannot stand them. It's just I think they're awful. I think they're the devil. I've worked with them in the past.
It is strange to see them out in the sun so long without exploding.
Yeah, but no,
we're just kidding. We're making fun. You're just kidding.
I'm sorry, Tara. But no, It's kind of like when you go to a fusion restaurant and they're like, it's the jalapeno sushi inspired tacos with panko crusting, and you're like, there's too much there.
Yeah. So you're saying this is kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none?
Well, hearing that there's other environments is extremely reassuring. But Shadow of Mordor, for instance, I'm getting some, there's some mechanical similarities there, and just the fact that it is kind of this, the fact that you can hop on mounts and run around, and there's sort of stealth elements, and that was great, except when you realize that there's 2 areas that are sort of the same. So I kind of want to go on blackout with this and just let myself be surprised once it comes out, and just the idea that there are cities and that there are deserts and snow areas, that makes me really excited.
Yeah.
I feel we know 10% of this game. I have a feeling
that's a big percentage to know about a game.
I mean.
I'm not saying 10%. I feel we know 0.1% of story, but I just mean we know 10% of even mechanics and systems and stuff. I feel we know there will be so much mechanically that game
you brought up the mount thing, and I thought it was really cool. The way you mount something is that you sort of approach. It's like a robot yak thing. You shoot a bunch of harpoons at it so that it's sort of like stuck to the ground, and then you go up to its ass and you hack its ass.
Yeah.
And you like hack its ass and you make it nice. I'm gonna keep saying hack its ass.
Hack its
Yeah, you
ass.
really you shoot a bunch of ropes and then you hack its ass and you mount it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kick it right in the tunt.
Yeah.
What the?